and welcome to episode 6 of the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We are two sisters who love to share. We like to share our love of knitting, the knitting community, and just the things that we're working on. You know what? We should probably introduce ourselves.
Oh, that would be great. Sorry. My name's Penny, and I am frugal.
And she is the first of the siblings. And I am Dawn. I'm the frivolous one. And I am the fourth of 8 children.
We are.
It is Easter Sunday, 2019. At least that's when we're recording it. And we happen just to be together at my house in Green Bay to celebrate the holiday.
And you know what? We just wanted to tell you, one of the reasons we've had such a difficult time getting our episodes out is we had no idea that there was a glitch in our recording device that affected sound. And we had 4 recorded episodes, and the sound faded in and out. And the only way to correct it on our iPhone 6 was to literally edit second by second. And that was too much for us. So we decided we're going to just stash it, flash it, whatever, stuff it, and try all over again. Whatever you do.
You know how much knitting time we would have lost?
No, I'm not doing it.
We even had the Mac specialists at both of our colleges look at it. And
they couldn't help us.
Yeah, so we're at it again.
We are.
We'll either figure it out or we won't.
You are profound. You are the smartest of the 8. I knew that from the beginning.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so please grab your note-taking device and your knitting and join us for a sweet twist of the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting.
Good.
All right, today's episode, Dawn, is what?
Kofos, so objects that have been casted on and finished since we saw you last. But before we do that,
yes,
I'd love to know what's around your neck.
Oh, thank you so much for asking. This is Levity, and I knit this in a beautiful silk fiber for our son and daughter-in-law's wedding, and I wore this over my dress.
It was spectacular.
Absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
I wish you could. I don't know. You'll never be able to probably on a podcast understand the drape of silk. But those of you who knit with it know that it has a drape that is second to none.
It is.
And these were the colors.
Those were Miss Whitney's colors.
They were beautiful.
It was. Very fun. My lesson learned, which many of you already know, is that if you're buying an indie dyed yarn, make sure you buy more than enough.
Yeah.
Because I ran out and reordered it, which the dyer, and if you go to my project page, you can see who that is, gladly dyed it for me, but it was not a match, and I was too far in to go back and alternate every row. So it got tucked in somewhere, and that part always gets tucked under my shawl.
You know, I totally forgot about that. You don't even recognize it.
I think it might be on your end.
Even when I was showing it, I didn't see it.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, it's pretty obvious.
No, it wasn't this time.
No, it wasn't. I don't know why, but maybe just got to say it was in the lace section.
Maybe you fell down and bumped your head.
Just tell them that
once or twice as a child, but, no more than that. Minor periods of loss of consciousness.
And I'm sure I was pushed by a sibling, but nevertheless, that's for our therapy sessions. Okay, and what are you sporting today?
Therapy. Speaking of therapy,
that was coincidental.
By Laura Ayler, part of our Mystery Shawl Mania class. I think this is our second one, and this is. I have fallen in love with Julie Aslan's yarn.
You really had a thing for her yarn.
I do. She's a Canadian indie dyer, I believe. And I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's like Leizu, Leizu. Leizu, was that it?
I think it's probably French, so someone is welcome to correct us.
Yeah, but again, a nice play on color and just some different... And you talk about wearable. And
it is.
I just tend to always go for these high contrasting yarns. Some of the people in the group did low contrast, and they're just equally as stunning. And so that'd be a good challenge for me, is to work on some more, I don't know, blend's the right word? Maybe.
Or complementary, maybe?
Maybe a blend of the really brights? I don't know. We'll see some really brights later on.
So. Oh, yes, we will. And so I know that's what you're waiting for. So without further ado, let's get started. So these, again, Dawn is going to kick us off on things that we have cast on and finished since our previous podcast. And joining us today, all the way from Green Bay, is Fred the Head.
Fred, you've got a glare going, dude. We'll go this way.
Oh, profile shot, much better.
So Penny and I both love this pattern. It is called the Bankhead hat by Susan Gorley. I believe it's a free pattern on Ravelry, but we use it often, and you'll see Penny will have quite a few to go with it. She knits more hats as gifts than I do, but it is just nice. And then our other sister, who will not join us on the podcast, she told us yesterday she wants one either in the Bears colors, which is sacrilegious when you're in Green Bay saying that out loud, or the Cubbies. So it may have to be the Cubbies because I might get...
Or knitted in the secrecy of your own home under your headlamp. So no one sees you doing it.
in the closet. But yeah, this is Cascade 220, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
I love that yarn. What a workhorse.
And so I'm not going to put all of mine on there, but these are some of the Bankhead hats that I knit for Christmas this year that I've not yet given out. Which, by the way, please don't be shocked or feel badly for that for me, because I never get Christmas off at Christmas. So it is what it is. And if you can't see these are just the name tags to whom they belong.
Okay, so they actually sell name tags, you know.
Nope.
Oh, yeah. And there's
Post-it
probably
notes.
reused Post-it notes. There's probably messages on the other side for your grocery list or something.
I don't know why you find that humorous. To me, that's frugal. Oh, please. We do need
You
therapy.
could put a stitch marker on there or something. But yeah, those are beautiful
I
gifts,
could.
aren't they? And that yarn again, what? No.
They love it.
Was it Cascade?
Mine is
Yeah.
mine is Cascade, and so they like it. It's machine washable.
Yeah, it
no one
is.
has to block it. Works well for family members.
And we also know that not everybody will take care of their knits the same way. So I think superwash is a great way to go.
I do too.
And what
I
a
do
lovely
too.
gift. Nice job.
And somebody did ask me about this the other day at work, why I knit so many of the same hat. My coworkers, I'm trying to teach about knitting. And I said, in a family our size, it just helps me to knit the same pattern each year. I keep track of the patterns I knit so I don't duplicate them
Yeah.
unless they request them. So
Right.
there you have it.
And so that always is an interesting thing. This year, we'd like to focus. We both gave ourselves a challenge on Ravelry. So on your project page on Ravelry, there's a challenge, and you could put how many projects you'd like to knit in 2019. And I love it. It's a moving number. You can change that number at any time. But because of that, each hat has to get its own project page. So we kind of did some research with Ravelry's. I don't know if you call it features,
Yeah.
or they do some forums, and it is on their list to sometime talk about how to clone a project so that you can take all that information over and use it again. And so I'm hoping maybe in the next year or two that you can clone that, because it doesn't take that long.
It
but still,
doesn't. Let's
you
just
would like to do the whole
duplicate.
stack
You
and
bet.
be done with
Get
it.
it over with.
All right.
Oh,
Now,
this is what I can't wait to
I'm obsessed
see.
with learning brioche. And obsessed is mildly understated. So at our annual knitting retreat for Magpies, I was asked to teach a class on two-color brioche. And this is a free pattern called the Beginner's Brioche Scarf. It's on Ravelry. And I just use yarn from Deep Stash. So this is bulky. But I thought it was a nice way to learn how the brioche stitch is created. And then, of course, the opposite. And these are Wisconsin Badger colors. So I think I now can say I understand one color brioche, two color brioche flat. And then I'm taking a class next week on two color brioche in the round.
I cannot
So-
wait to see what
Yeah,
you
and this
create.
just goes on forever.
It
It's just
does.
a really long-
It's one that
the
you
pattern
can
called
grab.
for Rios, Malabrigo Rios, and you needed 4 skeins of it. So for a learning project, I thought that was a little on the. It's an expensive curve
Oh,
to
that
learn
is
with
an
Rios.
expensive curve.
So now that I know how to do it, but the problem with using inexpensive acrylic yarn is it really pills.
It does pill, doesn't it?
But yeah.
But like you said, it's a learning tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think that merits.
And I don't know if I told you this, some of the gals who took the class have showed me their finished scarves, and you talk about a proud mama moment.
Ooh.
was like,
well, yes.
And
It's
it
the
was,
teacher in you.
It's hard to, I don't know about you, it's hard to teach something when you're just learning it. So that was a lesson learned, is I probably should be better at a skill before I try to teach it, because I would understand it better. So,
But I would also argue that as you teach it, you learn.
right.
So
That's true,
I think you could look at it from both directions.
Just like an idiot.
Literally.
Oh yeah, with brioche glue too, both directions. That's very
Exactly.
good. Very
That's a
squishy
good play on
though,
word.
isn't it? Yes.
It is very squishy.
All right, what do you have
I
next?
love it. All right, as you saw in a previous episode, for the girls this year, I did not do the Bankhead. Instead, I did the faux ball cable hat. So these are some of the hats that I made for the girls for Christmas with the furry pom-poms on top. The
Look
white
at
one,
that.
I know. That red one and the white one were knit in the Fiber Company Tundra
Of course it
Fiberway.
was.
I know.
That is spectacular yarn.
And these other hats were all knit in Heritage Duo Eco.
Oh, yeah, that's
and
good.
I did that because of its washability and the fact that all of my pom-poms are snap-on.
Nice.
That way that people who don't know how to care for their knits or block, they can just remove the pom-pom, throw it in the washer, pull it out, and re-snap the pom-pom.
And did we buy these on Amazon?
We did.
So if we think about it, let's put that link in.
That'd be
Because I
great.
think we got like 12.
12.
9 or
12 in a
yeah.
package. And all of them are duo color. So you can see this
Yeah.
is dark with a white tip. This is white with black tips.
Oh, I love
So very nice way to just put a little pop and pizzazz on the hat.
Right, and if people don't want it, just pop it off.
Absolutely.
No harm, no foul. I need to finish mine, so this is a good encouragement. This is one of my UFOs in that ivory color.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah, look at all these other ones.
Yeah,
and thank
they're
you for
just
the
fun.
suggestions. I think one of the podcast people voted on which.
And this was the one. They wanted the gray
Yeah.
pom-pom. And I think that was a wise choice. So thanks everybody who weighed in on that.
And this is Eco Duo too?
It is. Wow. Mm-hmm. Chunky.
Yeah.
So I'm anxious to get feedback on if they liked it or not and how it fit.
You know what I just thought of? If I was a yarn, I'd be chunky. Nobody ever accused me of being fingering. Okay. Don't get coughing again. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh
That was
my
probably.
goodness.
If we would cut it out if we would know how to, but we don't know how to. So.
No. Allergy season in the Midwest. What can I say?
So at the same retreat,
sis.
I taught a couple of other little classes. So these are just some beaded fingerless gloves. And if you're interested, I would share my recipe with you. And the reason I say that is there was a basic pattern that's been changed so much. I never know if it's still a pattern.
I know.
So I'll link to the actual pattern, the original one. And then when you see that pattern, it doesn't look much like these.
So tell us, summarize some of the changes you
Well,
made.
I like more space here.
Okay.
Between,
In the
it's hard to
gusset?
see, yeah. From the gusset up, I think it only called for like 4 rows. But that put the beads then right here.
Ooh, on the palm of your
And I
hand.
don't know about you, but driving, I don't want them there. So I wanted them higher up on my fingers. So I added like an additional 12 rows. And then I wanted much more space from the end of the thumb gusset till the beads start. And in fact, if I were to do these again, I bet I'd add 4 more rows there.
You would, down here?
Yeah, because for my hand,
Oh.
it hits right there on that bone.
Yep, that's where mine
And then I like longer cuffs. But yeah, and everybody wants to be able to text. They look really nice on you.
Thank you. I don't have
Yeah.
a pair of these.
Oh, you know, happy birthday,
Definitely.
by the way.
Hey, it's not my birthday.
Well, it's coming up this week. We thought about that last night. We forgot to
Did you?
celebrate it.
Oh, that's just too bad.
Yeah, nice.
All right.
Right, so I taught
These
that
are
little
very
class
nice.
at the
And what
retreat,
did you
too.
knit these out of again?
This was,
I like the fabric.
it's
hardy.
Malabrigo single. It's Malabrigo's worsted, which is a single. And it'll be interesting to see what they
Sturdy.
do over time, because I think singles can felt, right?
I think they can.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I tend to avoid them.
Yep, and
But
I may
boy, they
do
feel
that.
nice.
But see, this is too high.
It
right?
is. I
Yeah,
get
it needs
it.
to be lower.
So maybe I would say I have a large women's hand.
Yeah.
So maybe this might be a more of a medium size.
But I just shared my recipe at the class, and I gladly share it with anybody. It has not been tech edited. I don't even know what that means.
Nor has our checkbooks been balanced. So what can we say? Details, details,
Don't
details.
sweat the small.
No. Now our sister Nikki would know. But
Okay.
all right. So in a
I'm gonna
quick
take this.
nutshell, yes, I think Dawn's going to be our model.
Look at these, you guys.
I had the opportunity to go on a tiger cruise with the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Marines. So I boarded an aircraft carrier and brought it back for the last leg of their deployment and stayed on it. So during that time, I decided to work on projects for 2019. And so I knit 4 willow cowls.
Oh, man.
And these are cowls that you can adjust for height and length. And they just kind of fold over on themselves. So any of the variegated ones you see are from Knit Circus. This is from Gypsy Stardust, and it's called
need
Poison
some of
Acid.
this yarn.
I know,
I'm
isn't
gonna
it
try.
nice?
That's a new indie dyer for me. Oh yeah,
So-
messed up my hair. Imagine that.
Oh, I know. Static electricity.
I have wings.
So you can see that there's quite a difference when
yeah.
I did a different number of repeats. I did fewer repeats on this one.
But you know,
And
it
again-
can. You said it can actually be wide enough. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
if you're small stature, it can go over your shoulders like as a shrug.
So, yeah. And didn't they at one time call these like, not only a shrug, but like a capelet?
Oh yeah, I wonder.
So you can pull it down. And my daughter-in-laws are petite, and they would definitely be able to do that, just to keep the shoulders
I
warm.
love it.
And then the final one
look
is
at this one.
the rainbow one. Yes.
And that's another Knit Circus.
It is. Mhm.
Wow.
And these were all in my stash because, as you'll hear in our goals, I have a specific reason this year for working out of my stash.
I have the same goal.
No, she
Not.
doesn't. Who are you going to believe?
Okay, you know what? I keep saying this. I need to do some of these just to
Have as gifts.
Well, yeah, or just to have.
Well, that's true. Now, I'll tell you the fun thing, too. The decreases are kind of hidden
Yeah,
in
do you
between
see
the
that?
repeats. And the way the cowl sits is you can't see the decreases. You just see that lacy part.
Yeah.
Got to tell you, great little
So-
pattern.
On your Ravelry page, we can click on Gypsy Rose,
Gypsy Stardust?
Gypsy
Etsy
Stardust,
Star-
and
yes.
get to her Etsy store.
Yes.
That feel is amazing.
Very drapey.
Yeah.
And Miss Jackie, who I knit with monthly from my hometown, is the one who introduced me to this pattern. Love it. Love it, love it.
All right.
All right. So,
Very good.
You're up, sis.
So my last class that I taught at our little knitting retreat is to how to do helical knitting. So this is just a baby hat. It was the easiest way to, and this was just stash yarn that I had.
Stash yarn? That's
can
what
put
you
some
have when you have
leftovers in there.
left
Anyway.
over from a project.
Yeah, so remember when temperature scarves were the rage? Maybe they're still the rage.
I don't know.
So about all these shades of gray to black, white, gray, black, and some purple, I think. Started January 1st and quit January 11th. So I have lots of stash because I had several skeins of all those colors. Yeah.
I
So
like
helical
that.
knitting is interesting. So jogless. So I must have a folder because when I turn it, you can see what looks to be some little blips.
Oh.
But you don't get those jogs that you get with some color
Yeah.
changes. But here's another good example. This hat's been flat.
And it has
And
a
so now it has creases. But yeah, and I gave one to one of Austin's FIAD teachers for a gift for their new child. So yeah,
Cool.
some people, I guess, I don't do garments, but a
Right.
great way to use instead of alternating every row, you could helical knit.
I want to try
And
that.
you could, again, this is all theory because I've never knit a garment, keep knitting and not have to worry about carrying yarn up the side.
I think that would be great if you had fibers from different lots.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's what I hear
Absolutely,
some
dye lots.
podcasters say. So yeah, helical knitting, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And I need to get better if I keep doing this. It'd be fun to somehow make a fun little design feature up here. I don't know what that would be, but
I don't either, but it would be fun if it was like a spiral or something.
follow the yellow brick road.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Put that on your to-do list, would you please?
Or to not do.
Or to wish I had done. All right. So Dawn and I are going to share with you shawls that we knit for the Magpies Mystery Knit Along. Same pattern, different choices of not only fiber, but gauge and color. So here's the elevation wrap by Aspen Knits. So this is my elevation wrap.
So there, look at those colors.
Yep. This is hedgehog. These were hedgehog minis with navy blue Finnish yarn. I mean, Finnish as from the country Finland.
Thinking Finnish yarn. Don't scare me by his
I think
Finnish.
I think it's Finland. It's either from Finland or Switzerland. I don't know. Anyway, and
What does this have to do with the story?
well, it's from 2003.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
I wasn't
right.
born yet.
No, you probably weren't. And so I was deep stash diving.
Yes, you were.
Right?
You really can see with the white wall. You can see the design.
You can. Very fun.
And that's just I know why you said that now. It's a little
It's
rustic.
It is rustic. And so it's not nearly
horrible,
as
but-
soft and drapey as what we're used to.
Look at these
However,
hedgehog colors.
Those are fun, aren't they?
These are so naive.
I know. They aren't.
Oh,
I kind of
man.
like to blend in. I don't want to stand out.
Are you gonna give this to?
I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
So the reason we wanted to do a
Look
comparison.
at this one.
Mine was in the gray that here is knitted wit, and this was a mini package by So Happy Jane. Exact same pattern, both fingering weight yarn, same needle size, and watch the comparison as far as width.
Size and width. Look how much tighter my gauge slash differences in the fibers. I am a very tight knitter. And I guess maybe it's because I want to use every single millimeter
I
of
don't
that
know
yarn.
what it is, but I guess I'm loose. But-
Yeah, you are. Always have been. You do have a much looser
Well,
fabric.
again, I'm not a garment knitter. You are. If I needed an argument on gauge swatching, here it is. That would be a huge difference in.
And therefore, I'm
sweater.
not really pleased with this. Because to me, now it's like a long scarf rather than a wrap.
And
Because it's so narrow, you know?
which is okay, but you're right. It's
Yeah.
and maybe because the wider one is here, that even makes you a little more disappointed. Had nothing to compare to. She noticed it right away when she was blocking it, and she sent me pictures. So yeah, and I think I got that yarn I did a trade, but it was we met that indie dyer at the Ann Bud Knit for
Oh,
Fun
the Ann
retreat
Bud.
last year. I bet we're about it.
But I got to tell you, take a look at how these colors perfectly complement one another.
Yeah. I don't have that eye because I would not have told you this color. And I'm not usually into the golds, but it worked perfect.
It works perfect.
Yeah, I would love
This
to do
is
something with these
so-
two.
Dawn, I got to tell you, this is just your niche,
Yeah.
man. You can whip up a beautiful, beautiful, stunning scarf.
Well, it's nice when people sell sets of minis, dyers do that because they know the dyes that went in and what's complementary. And again, I don't have an eye for it. I can just look at the pack of minis.
And decide if you
Yeah,
like
like
it.
that yellow is in here and that pink is in here.
Isn't that
and-
wild?
Yeah.
I guess, hence, the fade. That's how the whole principle of the fade works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing of all the things that we've not had time to do is we
No,
have not done any of the
We have
fades.
not.
And I'm going to guess we're not going to do any of the fades.
No,
At
I
least
don't
not
know
now.
that it's exactly something that strikes me.
It's not your aesthetic, for
No,
sure.
it's not my aesthetic. And really, my aesthetic is not speckles at all.
I know.
don't care for it.
And did you hear, or not hear, we saw Hedgehog is coming out with tonals.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
I'll show that later. But,
Yeah. Come back to our next
I
podcast.
think, are we going to see speckles fade away a little bit and go more toward the tonals or the semi-solids?
I think someone who has a classic aesthetic like I do, I like simple lines.
Yeah.
I like classic. I like something that does not distract, rather complement. And so speckles to me grab my attention and grab others' attention. So for me, it just doesn't work. But I know
I
they
love
look
them, though.
beautiful.
It's
I know,
something,
and they
yeah.
look beautiful on you. It's just not me. Ooh.
Look at it across the
But-
table. I have a lot of speckle.
Wait
All right,
till
guys,
you see
this next one may be
Put
one
on
of
your
my
seatbelts.
pride and joy.
Oh, mama.
So this is Midnight in Berlin
Oh.
by Melanie Berg. This was my New Year's Eve cast on. And so Penny and I were virtually knitting. And this is all mosaic, which I think Melanie Berg's been doing all along. And it is a big shawl. This is the rosy green wool that she used in the pattern. If you've seen her shawls book, this is the cover shawl. I did not do those colors. But I'd happen to have the shawl that I bought at Stitches Midwest a few years ago for a different Melanie Berg shawl. I think I can tell you I like sport weight.
Yeah.
I've not used sport weight before. But you
Yeah.
guys, this is amazing.
And the picture doesn't do it justice. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
When you walk in the room and you see this, your eye goes directly to it.
Unbelievable.
And you did such a wonderful
I
job.
love Melanie Berg. We'll talk more about her later.
Yes, at the end of this podcast, you're going to learn a little bit about Melanie Berg.
Wow.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah.
And I really do believe she was before her time.
Well, and again, I think if you look, from what I can see, a trend happening right now on Ravelry is mosaic. Mm-hmm. And wow, she's been doing it.
She's a
forever.
master. Yeah.
And yeah, so it's fun to watch the trends. So I think as fade is untrending, mosaic knitting is trending.
Just look at the bottom.
Yeah. If I had to do it again, maybe I'd have done the dark blue here. I'm not sure.
You think?
I don't know if I would have had enough yarn. Maybe that's the reason why.
Nevertheless.
Yeah, and that I-cord, I pulled a little too much in the blocking. That too will fade. Yeah.
So if you have ever considered knitting this shawl, don't hesitate another second. Yep. Buy it and get it cast
now,
on.
You know what? I wish I could tell you to buy it. So it's not available yet because it was only available you have to buy the entire book to get it.
Oh.
It's not available as an individual pattern until maybe the end. We're getting close to the end of April. Maybe that is. Okay. Several people have contacted me and wanted to know where to purchase it. And I think if you click on it, on the link in Ravelry, it sends you to the purchase of the book.
Okay, we bought the books.
Yeah,
so.
And then that was the free. She sent that to us ahead of time before the book came out. So
she's very gracious.
She's very gracious.
Very gracious.
And we talked like she was over for Easter dinner, but
yeah. Like we know her personally.
She could come over for Easter dinner anytime she wants. Not at all. So that is big pride and joy. And then how about the little?
I have another little project that I cast on for our brand new baby granddaughter who was just introduced to the family this weekend. It is a little One Skein Wonder. It comes from that book, One Skein Wonder. It's called the Fiesta dress. The Fiesta Frolic. And so I made it out of Fortissima sock yarn because she lives here in Wisconsin. And that wool will help keep her warm. So underneath, I'm going to give her and put in a long sleeved onesies and then maybe some tights with ruffles on the bum.
We just think she needs ruffles on the bum,
Yeah, and I believe it's sized in such a way that she tends to be narrow. If she'll be narrow like the other girls through the top portion of her torso, she could wear this as a blouse as an older infant. So she's only 1 month old, and this is what she will receive as one of her welcome to the world gifts.
Yeah, it was so fun to see you with her this weekend.
She's a cutie patootie, isn't she?
At that retreat, you're talking about Joanne Kiley, who is the owner of Magpies, gave out 2 free patterns, and this was the broken rib pattern. I don't know if she is going to publish these on Ravelry. And then this was another hat. Now this to me looks like the CC beanie that a lot of people are wearing these days. And Joanne just created the pattern. So if for some reason we find out that it is a link to Ravelry, we will update our show notes. But I love that crown decrease.
I do too. Look at it.
Yeah, I thought those were cool.
How fun.
And this was with Cascade, is it 128?
Yes,
This one
Cascade.
was. That was part of our swag bag. This was yarn that was on clearance, Belgier, or
I'm not
Belgier.
familiar.
So I'll link that too. And I have to chuckle. Here's a mistake.
What?
You see this line?
Yeah.
I did 2 rows of stockinette in a row instead of the rib wasn't so broken there.
Oh, but I'm not so sure.
Because it was a perfect circle, I just left it. Yep.
Absolutely.
So again, my attention to details and reading patterns is
Oh,
lacking.
because we're talking, and if we're knitting virtually, we're not paying attention.
Or I'm talking to myself if I'm here by myself.
Very
Good.
cool.
And then one
very
last
cool.
surprise.
And I just have one last one. This is the Emmon hat pattern by Susan B. Anderson. And I have to tell you, I learned a couple of things. You can't really see it. Number one, poor yarn choice for the pattern if you wanted to see the alternating rib. And when you pull up her pattern on Ravelry, you'll definitely understand. But this was stash yarn, and I wanted to see if I could get one hat out of it for the Christmas for 2019. And I discovered something. I was using, help me with this. Is it Cascade Heritage anthem cords.
Or anthem cords, yeah, for the
Anthem
sports
cords.
teams. Yep.
For the sports teams. And I thought worsted. It's a very round, plump yarn, washable, obviously. So I started knitting it, and it was getting really big. So I decreased the number of rows, thought that I decreased them enough. We tried it on my son yesterday, and about this much of it is excess. So because of the nature of the pattern and the fact that you can flip it inside out, he didn't mind flipping it over. So now this is my pattern for 2019. So I've cast it on in Cascade 220 Superwash.
That's a worsted for sure.
Worsted. I'm just telling you, very different fabric. This is much plumpier. So I'm just going to have to read that label carefully to see if maybe it's an Aran weight. It's definitely not bulky, but maybe an Aran weight.
What a nice.
All right, and finally we have a giveaway to announce. Go ahead.
Our very first knit along. So we are going to do a Melanie Berg knit along for the entire year. Now we're not into rules, so it's pretty simple. You just have to cast on. Preferably after the first of the year, but we could probably be persuaded if somebody had a good...
Yeah, has to be really good reason.
Yeah, but that'll work for us. And we're going to set up 2 threads in our Ravelry group. One just for chatter. Start picture if you want about or what your plans are to knit. And then we will then do a finished... I don't even know if we'll do finished objects.
Can we just do photos in that second thread?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be finished objects. Just put a picture of casting on or where you're at. And then whenever we get together to podcast, every month or so, we'll just randomly select some winners. So we weren't sure if we could use the word Melanie Berg, or we didn't know if we could use her name in a podcast. And so we sent her a message on Ravelry. So, okay, Melanie Berg. So I'm like, hi, I'm Dawn. I have this little knitting podcast. She said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Feel free to use it. And she said it'd be delightful to watch along. So
this is the F&F Frivolous and Frugal Melanie Berg knit along.
And we'll probably even put a hashtag out there, like we know what those are. But I think we can follow stuff in
We know.
Instagram with that. So how exciting. So my goal is to knit 3 Melanie Berg shawls this year. Now, I have knit Midnight in Berlin, so that'll start off the project. Obviously, we're not going to win prizes, and then again, we're going to make our sister do the random number generator. So, and probably the next time we podcast, we'll draw for if there's some.
If we find any on Ravelry, we might as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our first gift is going to be a skein
look at
from
that.
Leading Men Fiber Arts, and it is in the colorway Bahama Mama, and it is in their base showcase. So this is what we will be offering as our gift, and what will happen is once we pick the winner, we'll contact you through Ravelry so you can give us some mailing instructions, and as only you will find on this podcast, this will be shipped to you in recycled material.
Yeah, probably addresses crossed out.
Absolutely, yes.
Why wouldn't
So
you?
my mailman would not know what to do with something that wasn't crossed out and blacked out. So he'd want to know who moved into our house. So
I love
please.
those colors. It looks like fire.
Yes, it does. Yeah, that's a good
That's
word picture.
fingering, I think, yeah.
It is fingering weight. So you'll be receiving 400, very gracious, 490 yards
wow.
for a 100 gram skein.
Excellent.
Yes, and I think you'll find it delectable. It's fun to knit with.
So again, if you need to get a hold of us, we're both available through all your social medias. We'll put the links down below, but we're on the typicals, right? So we're on Ravelry Groups tab. We also our Instagram, Facebook, and we do have personal emails too. So I am frivolousdawn@gmail.com.
And I'm frugalmisspenny@gmail.com. So until our next podcast, may your life be a sweet twist of the frivolous and frugal. Have a great week.
All right, bye-bye.